Ladies, there comes a time when you must stop apologizing for your strength. Stop softening your edges to make others comfortable. Stop dimming your light because someone else can't handle its brightness. This isn't a call to become hard or unfeeling. It's a call to rise, to reclaim your voice, and to stop mistaking softness for kindness or silence for peace. Too many women are taught to be gentle at the cost of their power, to be agreeable instead of authentic, to say, it's okay, even when it's not. But let's be honest, being soft in the wrong way doesn't protect your peace. It destroys your boundaries. It invites disrespect, drains your confidence, and convinces you that strength makes you unlovable. But strength, real strength, is not about closing your heart. It's about leading with it, bravely, honestly, and unapologetically. The first truth is this: vulnerability is not weakness. It's the birthplace of courage. You cannot build confidence by hiding behind perfection. You build it by being brave enough to say, this is me. The world has lied to you, telling you that to be strong you must never cry, never admit fear, never fall apart. But that's false strength. Real strength is standing tall in your truth while your knees shake. It's allowing yourself to be seen, even when you fear judgment. You become unstoppable the moment you realize that your worth is not defined by how perfectly you hide your pain, but by how boldly you face it. Second, boundaries are not walls. They're gates of self-respect. Stop being the woman who says yes when her soul screams no. Stop being the one who carries everyone else's weight while yours goes ignored. There is nothing soft about self-abandonment. It's time to redefine kindness, not as tolerance of mistreatment, but as the ability to love without losing yourself. When you start saying no with clarity and calm, people will call you difficult. Let them. Because the woman who values her peace will always look dangerous to those who benefit from her silence. Third, courage is showing up even when you feel unready. Strength is not born from comfort. It's built through discomfort. You will never wake up one morning and suddenly feel ready to step into your power. You just start. You speak even when your voice trembles. You walk into rooms where no one believes in you and decide to believe in yourself anyway. The brave woman doesn't wait for permission. She gives it to herself. Every small act of courage, a conversation, a boundary, a decision creates momentum. And one day, you look back and realize that every trembling step you took became the foundation of your confidence. Fourth, confidence is not given, it's built. Stop waiting for someone to validate you. Stop waiting for external approval to feel good about yourself. Confidence is a muscle that grows with use, not praise. It's the daily practice of doing hard things, of facing fear instead of running from it. You don't become confident by repeating affirmations. You become confident by keeping promises to yourself. When you say you'll do something and follow through, you teach your mind that you are trustworthy. That's where unshakable self-belief begins. Not in the words you tell yourself, but in the actions you prove to yourself. And lastly, authenticity is your greatest form of strength. The soft woman hides behind who she thinks she should be. The strong woman lives as who she truly is. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break molds. The moment you stop performing for approval and start living for purpose, your entire energy changes. People can feel it. The most magnetic women in the world aren't the most perfect. They're the most real. Their power comes from integrity, from owning their story instead of letting shame own them. The strong woman doesn't pretend to have it all together. She simply refuses to let fear dictate her life. So, stop being soft in ways that make you small. Be soft in your compassion, but strong in your convictions. Be gentle in your love, but fierce in your boundaries. Be kind, but never at the cost of your power. The world doesn't need more women who are afraid to take up space. It needs women who stand tall, speak truth, and live fully, even when it's uncomfortable. Let your strength be silent but undeniable. Let your confidence be steady, not loud. And most importantly, let your softness be sacred. Not something to be exploited, but something to be honored. You are not too much. You are not too strong. You are not too emotional. You are simply enough, finally unapologetically enough. So rise, woman. Not harder, but wiser, not colder, but clearer, not softer, but stronger. Because the day you stop being a soft woman, in the way the world defines softness, is the day you become unstoppable. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the birthplace of courage. In a world that constantly tells women to be strong, composed, and unshakable, vulnerability is often seen as a flaw, a soft spot, something to hide. We are told that showing emotion makes us unstable, that admitting pain makes us fragile, that opening up makes us easy targets. But the truth is, the strongest women are not the ones who build walls. They are the ones who have the courage to show up without armor. They are the ones who let the world see their scars and say, "This is me, and I'm still standing." Vulnerability doesn't mean you lack strength. It means you trust your strength enough to be seen as you are. It is not the absence of courage. It is courage in its purest, rawest form. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you are choosing to be authentic in a world obsessed with perfection. You are choosing truth over image, depth over approval, and connection over control. Vulnerability strips away the illusion of having it all together and replaces it with the beauty of being real. It's the moment you let your tears fall, not because you're weak, but because you've carried too much for too long. It's the moment you admit you're scared, yet still take a step forward. It's the quiet whisper to yourself that says, "I'm not okay right now, but I will be." That's not softness. It's strength in motion. Because strength is not the absence of struggle. It's the decision to keep going even when you feel exposed. So many women hide behind the mask of invincibility. They smile through heartbreak, work through exhaustion, love through pain, and never let anyone see their breaking point. They call it being strong, but often it's a form of self-betrayal. True strength is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about having the courage to admit when it's not. It's about saying, "I'm struggling, but I refuse to give up." Vulnerability allows you to reclaim your humanity in a culture that glorifies emotional numbness. It's an act of rebellion to say, "I feel deeply, and that makes me powerful." The truth is, vulnerability and strength are two sides of the same coin. You cannot be brave without first being vulnerable. Every act of courage begins with uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Think about it when you start something new, speak your truth, chase your dreams, or end a toxic relationship. You're stepping into the unknown. You don't know how people will react. You don't know if you'll succeed. But you show up anyway. That's vulnerability. That's courage. The world may tell you to protect yourself from pain, but the women who live fully are the ones who dare to risk being hurt in the pursuit of meaning, love, and purpose. Vulnerability also builds connection. We live in a time where people hide behind filters, perform confidence, and call it empowerment. But connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from truth. When you allow others to see your struggles, your imperfections, and your fears, you give them permission to be real too. You create a space for authenticity, for compassion, for genuine understanding. Vulnerability breaks the illusion of separation. It reminds us that everyone is fighting unseen battles. Everyone carries invisible scars. The woman who speaks her truth without shame inspires others to do the same. She becomes a mirror of strength, not because she's flawless, but because she's fearlessly human. It takes courage to say, "I'm not okay." It takes courage to admit, "I need help." It takes courage to show up to a room full of people and say, "This is who I am," even when you're not sure if they'll accept you. Vulnerability is the foundation of all growth. It's the soil where confidence and resilience are born. Without it, we live half lives, always guarded, always pretending, never allowing ourselves to truly experience love, success, or peace. You cannot feel joy if you refuse to feel pain. You cannot rise without falling. You cannot connect without revealing who you are. Vulnerability is the price of authenticity, and authenticity is the key to freedom. For too long, women have been taught that vulnerability makes them dependent, emotional, or weak. But the truth is, vulnerability is an act of power because it demands trust in yourself and in life. It takes strength to share your story when society tells you to stay silent. It takes courage to let your heart stay open after it's been broken. It takes emotional bravery to walk into uncertainty without a guarantee of the outcome. Every time you choose vulnerability, you are saying, I trust that I am enough even without certainty. That kind of trust is the foundation of unshakable confidence. Vulnerability also teaches self-compassion. When you allow yourself to feel, to fail, to fall apart, you begin to treat yourself with the same kindness you offer others. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You stop measuring your worth by your toughness. You start to see that strength is not about holding everything together. It's about holding yourself with love when everything falls apart. The woman who practices vulnerability doesn't lose her softness. She refines it into something unbreakable. Her softness becomes sacred, intentional, and strong. Being vulnerable doesn't mean exposing yourself to everyone. It means choosing authenticity over performance. It's not about oversharing. It's about being honest. It's about letting yourself be known to those who have earned your trust. It's about no longer living behind the facade of perfection. You can be selective with your vulnerability and still be authentic. Strength isn't measured by how much you hide. It's measured by how fearlessly you live your truth. To stop being a soft woman doesn't mean to become hardened. It means to stop confusing emotional suppression with strength. It means to stop performing invulnerability and start embracing the kind of power that comes from honesty. Vulnerability is your greatest teacher. It will break you open so you can rebuild yourself with intention. It will strip away what is fake and reveal what is real. It will force you to confront your fears and teach you to rise despite them. That's where your confidence is born. Not from pretending to be fearless, but from learning you can survive fear. Every time you choose to speak up, every time you let your tears fall, every time you take a step despite uncertainty, you grow stronger. You build resilience one vulnerable moment at a time. The woman who embraces her vulnerability becomes unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because she stops running from herself. She learns to stand tall in her truth, to love herself through imperfection, and to face the world with open hands instead of clenched fists. That is power. That is confidence. That is what it means to stop being soft in the way the world defines softness and start being strong in the way your soul was always meant to be. So, let go of the armor. Let go of the masks. Let go of the idea that strength means silence. Allow yourself to be seen. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to be human. Because the woman who has the courage to be vulnerable is not weak. She is fierce, she is brave, and she is free. Setting boundaries is not about being cruel. It is about practicing radical self-respect. Too many women confuse kindness with compliance, love with self-abandonment, and peace with silence. We grow up learning to put others first, to be accommodating, to be agreeable, to make sure everyone around us is comfortable, even when we are not. We are taught to avoid confrontation, to say, it's fine, when it's not, and to suppress our needs in the name of harmony. But there is nothing harmonious about betraying yourself. There is nothing loving about neglecting your own limits. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about creating a life where you can exist freely, safely, and authentically. When a woman learns to set boundaries, she is not becoming cold, she is becoming clear. Clarity is power. It tells others where you stand and what you will no longer tolerate. It separates what belongs to you from what doesn't. A boundary is not a wall that isolates you, it is a line that protects you. It's the difference between self-sacrifice and self-respect. You can love deeply and still say no. You can care for others and still choose yourself. You can be kind without being a doormat. The world may tell you that saying no makes you selfish, but in truth, it makes you sovereign. It declares that your energy, your time, and your peace are sacred. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to yourself. Every time you accept disrespect, you teach others that it is acceptable. And every time you stay silent when you should speak up, you build resentment that poisons your spirit. Boundaries are not just about protecting your time. They protect your mental health, your emotional balance, and your identity. A woman without boundaries lives on the edge of exhaustion, constantly giving and rarely receiving. She becomes tired, bitter, and lost. But a woman who knows her limits radiates calm confidence. She no longer chases validation because she validates herself by honoring her own needs. Boundaries are not meant to control others, they are meant to define your standards. You cannot change how people treat you, but you can decide what you will tolerate. You can decide to step away from relationships that drain you, jobs that devalue you, and conversations that disrespect you. You can decide to walk away from people who only love you when you are easy to handle. Boundaries are the gateway to freedom because they break the pattern of people pleasing. They allow you to live authentically, without shrinking to fit into places that were never meant for you. Many women fear setting boundaries because they fear rejection. They fear being called selfish, difficult, or unkind. But rejection is not the worst outcome, self-betrayal is. When you set a boundary, you might lose some people, but you will find peace. You will attract those who respect your energy instead of exploiting it. The ones who truly love you will not be threatened by your boundaries. They will be grateful for your honesty. The ones who resist them were only benefiting from your lack of them. Boundaries don't push away the right people. They reveal who's meant to stay. Setting boundaries also teaches you responsibility for your own emotions. When you stop trying to fix everyone, save everyone, or please everyone, you begin to realize that your only real job is to take care of yourself. You can support others without carrying their pain. You can listen with compassion without losing yourself in their chaos. When you take back emotional responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop letting guilt manipulate you. You stop overextending yourself for approval. You begin to live from self-worth rather than self-doubt. Boundaries are a form of emotional maturity. They require courage because they often disappoint people who are used to your compliance. But peace bought by self-sacrifice is not peace. It's avoidance. It's temporary comfort that breeds long-term pain. Real peace comes when you no longer betray yourself to please others. It comes when your inner world aligns with your outer actions. It comes when you can say no calmly, without guilt, without over-explaining, and without apology. That's not arrogance. That's emotional discipline. When you have weak boundaries, you invite chaos. You allow people to take advantage of your empathy. You tolerate behaviors that drain your spirit. You allow your life to be shaped by the demands of others instead of the desires of your heart. Strong boundaries bring clarity. They help you prioritize what truly matters. They teach you that not everything deserves your attention, not every battle deserves your energy, and not every invitation deserves a yes. They create a filter through which only the meaningful enters your life. A woman with boundaries walks differently. She speaks with a calm authority that comes from self-knowledge. She no longer explains her worth. She embodies it. Her energy is grounded because she's not scattered trying to please everyone. She gives out of abundance, not obligation. She loves from wholeness, not from emptiness. When she says yes, it's because she truly wants to, not because she's afraid of disappointing someone. This kind of strength is magnetic. It's not loud or aggressive. It's steady, silent, and unshakable. Setting boundaries is also an act of healing. Many women struggle to set them because they were conditioned to earn love through service, to prove their value through sacrifice, or to seek safety through approval. Healing means unlearning those patterns. It means realizing that love does not require losing yourself. It means understanding that your worth is inherent, not conditional. Boundaries are how you teach others how to treat you, but they also teach you how to treat yourself. When you honor your limits, you tell yourself that you matter. You begin to build self-trust, the foundation of confidence. It's not easy. People will test your boundaries. They will guilt you, challenge you, and try to make you second-guess yourself. But every time you stand firm, you reinforce your self-respect. Every time you say no to something toxic, you make space for something better. Every time you protect your energy, you grow stronger in your sense of self. Eventually, setting boundaries becomes second nature. It's no longer about defense, but about alignment. You stop needing to explain yourself because your life reflects your standards. Remember, you teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you constantly dismiss your own needs, others will too. If you constantly overextend yourself, others will keep taking. But when you prioritize your well-being, you inspire others to do the same. Boundaries are contagious. They set the tone for mutual respect. The strongest women are not the ones who endure everything. They are the ones who decide what is and isn't acceptable in their lives. So stop being the woman who always says yes out of fear. Stop apologizing for taking space. Stop feeling guilty for needing rest, silence, or solitude. Stop letting guilt convince you that your needs are inconvenient. You are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be yourself fully, and that requires boundaries. The moment you choose yourself without guilt is the moment you step into your true power. Setting boundaries is not about being unkind. It's about being honest. It's not about closing yourself off. It's about protecting what is sacred. It's not about rejection. It's about self-respect. You do not have to harden your heart to protect your peace. You simply have to honor your limits. When you finally understand that saying no is a complete sentence, you stop asking for permission to exist on your own terms. You stop being soft in ways that make you small and start being strong in ways that make you free. Boundaries are the silent language of power. They don't need to be shouted or defended. They are felt. They communicate self-worth without words. And the woman who learns this truth becomes unshakable, confident, and at peace. She no longer begs for respect. She embodies it. She no longer fears losing people. She fears losing herself. Because once a woman understands the value of her energy, she will never again give it to anything that doesn't honor her boundaries. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act despite it. For too long, women have been taught to wait until they feel ready, until the timing is perfect, or until they are confident enough to take action. But the truth is, readiness is an illusion, and confidence is built in motion, not in thought. The strongest women are not those who never feel fear or uncertainty. They are the ones who move forward, even when their hands shake, their hearts race, and doubt whispers in their ears. Courage is showing up, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. It is the moment you choose action over hesitation, authenticity over approval, and growth over comfort. Fear is a natural part of life. It signals that something important is at stake. When you feel fear, it doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are alive, and that your choices have weight. The difference between a woman who thrives and a woman who stays small is how she responds to that fear. Does she let it paralyze her, or does she let it fuel her? Courage is not reckless bravado, it is intentional action in the presence of fear. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small despite being afraid, you strengthen the muscles of bravery. These moments accumulate, and over time, they create an unshakable foundation of confidence. Too many women wait for external validation before they act. They ask, "Am I ready? Will they approve? Is this the right time?" But the moment you wait for perfection, life passes you by. Courage begins in imperfection. It begins in the messy, uncomfortable, uncertain spaces where real growth happens. Every significant step you have ever taken, whether starting a new career, leaving a toxic relationship, or speaking your truth, began before you felt completely prepared. That's because courage is cultivated in the gap between who you are now and who you are meant to become. Showing up is the essence of courage. It is the act of standing in your truth, even when it is difficult. It is saying what you need to say, doing what you need to do, and living as you were meant to live, regardless of whether the world approves. Courage is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, the decision to hold your ground in a conversation, to speak up when someone dismisses your idea, to choose self-respect over approval. These seemingly small acts accumulate into a life defined by strength, integrity, and resilience. Every moment you resist the pull of fear, you rewrite the story of what you are capable of. One of the most powerful aspects of courage is that it is contagious. When a woman acts despite fear, she becomes a beacon for others. Her bravery signals that it is possible to step into one's power, to face challenges, and to live authentically. By showing up, you not only change your own life, you inspire others to do the same. Courage creates ripples that extend far beyond the moment, the choice, or the individual. Every act of bravery, no matter how small, contributes to a culture where strength, honesty, and authenticity are valued over passivity, avoidance, and conformity. Courage also requires self-trust. It is easy to second-guess yourself, to doubt your instincts, and to postpone action because of uncertainty. But a courageous woman learns to trust herself. Even when the outcome is unknown, she knows that she has survived challenges before and that she possesses the resilience to face what comes next. Self-trust is built through repeated action, through choosing to face fear, make difficult decisions, and honor your own needs despite external pressures. It is not given, it is earned through lived experience. Every courageous act carries risk. There is a possibility of failure, rejection, or criticism. But courage is not the guarantee of success. It is the willingness to move forward regardless. The strongest women embrace risk because they understand that safety is an illusion. They know that growth, opportunity, and fulfillment exist on the other side of discomfort. They do not avoid challenges because of fear. They see fear as a compass pointing toward what matters most. The greater the fear, the more meaningful the action. Courage transforms fear into fuel rather than a barrier. Courage is also intimately connected to authenticity. To live courageously, a woman must be willing to show up as herself, without masks or pretense. She must speak her truth, even when it challenges the status quo or risks judgment. Authenticity requires vulnerability, because to be real is to be seen fully. Courage and vulnerability are inseparable. They feed each other. Without courage, vulnerability becomes paralyzing. Without vulnerability, courage becomes superficial. Together, they form the backbone of true empowerment. Taking action despite fear also requires persistence. Courage is not a single heroic act. It is a pattern of repeated choices. Every day presents opportunities to act courageously. Whether it is asserting boundaries, pursuing a goal, or speaking your truth. These moments are rarely easy, but they are transformative. Each time you choose action over hesitation, you reinforce your capacity to face discomfort, to handle uncertainty, and to rise to challenges. Courage is cumulative, built one brave choice at a time. It is important to recognize that courage is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. Fear, doubt, anxiety, and insecurity are natural. They are signals, not limitations. The courageous woman does not eliminate these feelings. She acknowledges them, accepts them, and chooses to act anyway. This is a profound form of self-mastery. By leaning into discomfort rather than fleeing from it, she develops resilience, confidence, and inner strength. She learns that life's challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow, learn, and refine her character. Courage also empowers women to challenge societal expectations. Women are often taught to shrink, to defer, to avoid conflict, and to be agreeable at all costs. True courage defies these limitations. It allows a woman to claim her space, speak her mind, and pursue her ambitions without apology. Courage is the refusal to be diminished by societal norms or external criticism. It is the daily practice of standing tall in your truth, even when the world tries to tell you that your power is too much, too loud, or too threatening. Every courageous choice strengthens your voice. Every act of bravery reinforces your belief in your own capabilities. Every time you act despite fear, you rewrite your internal narrative from one of doubt to one of possibility. Courage teaches that failure is not defeat. It is a lesson, a stepping stone, and a teacher. Each setback becomes a source of knowledge and resilience, shaping a woman who is stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. Courage is the bridge between dreams and reality. No goal, no transformation, no meaningful relationship can be achieved without it. To remain small, passive, or overly cautious is to deny your potential. To act despite fear is to honor your purpose and claim your life. Courage allows you to take risks, embrace uncertainty, and trust in your capacity to navigate whatever comes your way. It is the heartbeat of confidence, the engine of empowerment, and the essence of personal growth. The courageous woman understands that showing up does not guarantee comfort, recognition, or even immediate success. But it guarantees integrity. It guarantees that she is living in alignment with her values. It guarantees that she is building a life defined by action, not inaction, by bravery, not avoidance, and by authenticity, not pretense. She knows that the real reward is not external. It is the internal transformation that occurs when fear is faced and overcome. So, if you want to stop being a soft woman, in the way the world defines softness, you must cultivate courage. You must take action even when you feel unready, uncertain, or afraid. You must learn to trust yourself, to embrace discomfort, and to step into the unknown with confidence. Courage is not a single act. It is a lifelong practice. It is the accumulation of small, brave choices that define your character, shape your destiny, and empower you to live fully. The day you start showing up despite fear is the day your life changes. The day you act with courage is the day you stop waiting for permission, approval, or readiness. The day you embrace your fear and move forward anyway is the day you realize that true power is not the absence of vulnerability, the absence of doubt, or the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to act in spite of all of these. Courage transforms fear into fuel, hesitation into action, and potential into reality. It is the essence of strength, the foundation of confidence, and the hallmark of an unstoppable woman. A courageous woman is unstoppable not because life is easy, but because she refuses to be paralyzed by fear. She knows that every step into discomfort is a step toward her true power. She knows that waiting for perfect conditions is a trap, and she chooses action anyway. She knows that her voice matters, her choices matter, and her life matters. And in that decision, to act despite fear, she discovers that courage is not just a skill to be practiced, but a way of being, a force that propels her forward, shapes her destiny, and defines her as the strong, empowered woman she was always meant to be. Confidence is not something that is handed to you. It is something that is built, nurtured, and claimed through deliberate action. Many women mistake external validation for self-assurance, believing that praise, recognition, or approval from others will solidify their sense of worth. But real confidence is internal. It is the unwavering belief in your own capabilities, your own value, and your own right to exist fully. It is not dependent on circumstances, opinions, or outcomes. Confidence grows when you stop waiting for permission to take up space and start taking responsibility for your own life. It is a muscle, strengthened not by words, but by repeated acts of courage, honesty, and self-respect. Too often, women look for confidence in the wrong places. We scroll through curated images of perfection, compare ourselves to others, and wonder why we don't feel enough. We ask, am I attractive enough, smart enough, talented enough, and allow these questions to erode our self-belief. But confidence is not about being the best in someone else's eyes. It is about trusting your own process, honoring your own journey, and standing firm in your own truth. It is the quiet knowing that you are capable, deserving, and resilient, regardless of external judgment. Confidence begins with action. It is impossible to feel powerful without first doing what feels hard. You cannot sit and wait for a perfect moment or for a feeling of readiness to arrive. You must move, even when doubt gnaws at you. Each time you commit to taking action despite uncertainty, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of handling challenges. Each completed task, each difficult conversation, each risk taken becomes evidence that you can trust yourself. Confidence is cumulative. It grows in layers through lived experience, not through passive wishful thinking. Many women confuse confidence with arrogance or loudness, but true confidence is subtle, steady, and grounded. It is not about proving yourself to anyone. It is about knowing who you are and owning it fully. The confident woman does not need to shout to be heard. Her presence, her energy, and her actions communicate her worth without defensiveness or aggression. Confidence is silent authority. It is the calm assurance that she belongs, that she is capable, and that she will navigate whatever life throws her way. It does not require validation, because it already exists within her. Another crucial aspect of confidence is consistency. Confidence is not a mood, it is a practice. It is easy to feel strong when everything is going your way, when achievements are visible, or when people are applauding. But the real test of confidence is how you carry yourself when challenges arise, when criticism lands, or when success feels distant. Confidence is the ability to maintain self-belief even when life is unpredictable, messy, or uncomfortable. It is cultivated through daily discipline, honoring commitments to yourself, speaking your truth, and refusing to let fear dictate your actions. Taking responsibility for your own growth is essential to building confidence. Waiting for someone else to notice your efforts or validate your worth keeps you small. Confidence requires autonomy, the understanding that your life, your choices, and your self-worth are in your own hands. When you act from this place, you stop relying on approval, and you start measuring your success by your own standards. This self-reliance does not mean isolation. It means recognizing that the foundation of your strength is internal, not external. It means valuing yourself enough to make decisions that serve your life, even when others disagree or criticize. Failure is another key ingredient in cultivating confidence. Many women fear failure because they equate it with inadequacy. But confidence is not about never failing. It is about trusting that you can recover, learn, and grow from mistakes. Each failure is a teacher, providing feedback that refines your abilities and strengthens your resolve. The confident woman does not see setbacks as reflections of her worth. She sees them as opportunities to rise stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Failure becomes a stepping stone, not a barrier, because confidence is rooted in the knowledge that you can handle life's inevitable challenges. Confidence is also reinforced by boundaries. A woman who knows her limits and enforces them is inherently more confident. When you define what is acceptable and what is not, you create a framework in which you can operate with self-respect. Boundaries communicate that your time, energy, and dignity are valuable, and they prevent others from undermining your confidence. Each time you enforce a boundary, you affirm your own worth, and with each affirmation, your inner belief in yourself grows stronger. Confidence and self-respect are inseparable. One cannot exist sustainably without the other. Self-awareness is equally important in building confidence. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses, your values and priorities, allows you to act with clarity and purpose. The confident woman does not pretend to be perfect. She knows her limits and leverages her strengths while actively working on areas of growth. This awareness removes the fear of inadequacy because she no longer measures herself against unrealistic ideals. Instead, she measures herself against her own standards, her own integrity, and her own progress. Confidence comes from clarity about who you are, what you stand for, and the contribution you are capable of making in the world. Another element of confidence is resilience. Life will test you in ways you cannot predict. People will doubt you, opportunities may vanish, and setbacks will appear. Confidence is the unwavering belief that you can face these challenges and emerge intact. It is the inner certainty that you have the ability to adapt, learn, and persevere. Resilience and confidence feed each other. The more you trust in your ability to recover and grow, the more confident you become. And the more confident you become, the stronger your resilience grows. This cycle creates a foundation for long-term self-assurance that is unshakable by external circumstances. Confidence is also about claiming your space unapologetically. Many women shrink to fit expectations, to avoid conflict, or to be liked. But true confidence is owning your voice, your presence, and your choices. It is about refusing to diminish yourself to make others comfortable. It is about walking into a room and knowing you belong there without needing anyone's permission. Confidence is about taking up space with dignity and grace, knowing that your value is inherent, not conditional. Each step into visibility, each assertion of your presence reinforces your belief in your own worth. Importantly, confidence is not static, it evolves. Every stage of life presents new challenges, new opportunities, and new fears to confront. The confident woman is always learning, always adapting, and always taking steps to reaffirm her capabilities. She does not rest on past successes or assume that confidence is permanent. Instead, she treats it as a living practice, nurtured daily through self-trust, action, and reflection. This dynamic approach ensures that confidence remains flexible, resilient, and enduring, able to carry her through every twist and turn of life. Confidence also intersects with courage. You cannot be truly confident without stepping into the unknown. Each act of bravery, whether small or large, reinforces your belief in yourself. Every time you act despite fear, every time you speak despite uncertainty, every time you move despite doubt, your confidence grows. Courage is the engine that propels confidence forward, and confidence is the fuel that sustains courage. Together, they create an unstoppable momentum that allows a woman to claim her life fully. Finally, confidence is contagious. When you operate from a place of self-assurance, it influences those around you. People are drawn to women who carry themselves with quiet power, who act with integrity, and who trust themselves. Confidence inspires respect, commands attention, and opens doors that fear and doubt would otherwise keep closed. The confident woman does not need to prove her worth. Her energy communicates it effortlessly. By living confidently, she creates a ripple effect, encouraging others to cultivate their own self-belief and courage. In conclusion, confidence is not a feeling. It is a practice, a choice, and a commitment to yourself. It is built through action, boundaries, resilience, self-awareness, and courage. It is nurtured by trust in yourself, not by seeking validation from others. The confident woman moves forward despite fear, learns from failure, and asserts her worth unapologetically. She takes up space, honors her values, and acts with integrity in every area of her life. Confidence is not a destination, it is a journey, a continual act of self-empowerment. When you stop relying on approval, embrace action, honor your boundaries, and trust your inner strength, you will stop being a soft woman in the way the world defines softness. You will become a woman whose confidence is quiet but undeniable, whose presence is felt, and whose power cannot be diminished. Confidence is the armor of a woman who knows her worth, the foundation of her courage, and the source of her unstoppable strength. It is not given, it is claimed, nurtured, and lived every single day. Authenticity is one of the most powerful forms of strength a woman can possess. In a world that constantly pressures women to fit molds, conform to expectations, and perform for approval, choosing to be authentic is an act of courage. Authenticity means showing up as you are, without pretense, without masks, without hiding behind what others think you should be. It is the alignment between your inner truth and your outward actions. The woman who embraces authenticity does not measure her worth by societal standards or external approval. She defines her own value and lives in accordance with it. Authenticity is the foundation of true confidence, resilience, and empowerment, and it is the ultimate antidote to a life of quiet compromise. Too often, women are taught to please, to soften, to shrink, and to mold themselves into the shape of other people's comfort. We hide our opinions to avoid conflict, silence our desires to avoid judgment, and alter our appearance to avoid criticism. We are conditioned to believe that being liked is more important than being true. But living this way is exhausting, disempowering, and ultimately unfulfilling. When you suppress your true self to satisfy others, you are trading your power for temporary acceptance. Authenticity, on the other hand, is liberating because it allows you to live on your own terms, unapologetically and with integrity. Being authentic requires self-awareness. You cannot show up as your true self if you do not know who you are. It requires deep reflection on your values, your beliefs, your strengths, and your boundaries. You must be honest with yourself about what you want, what you will tolerate, and what you refuse to compromise. Self-awareness allows you to recognize when you are performing for others rather than acting from your own truth. It gives you the clarity to distinguish between what aligns with your essence and what is merely a projection of others' expectations. The confident, strong woman knows herself and refuses to settle for anything less than alignment with her own values. Authenticity also demands courage because being real makes you vulnerable. When you reveal your true thoughts, emotions, and desires, you expose yourself to judgment, rejection, and criticism. Yet, it is precisely this courage that distinguishes a powerful woman from one who merely conforms. Authentic women do not allow fear to dictate their choices. They are willing to risk disapproval because they recognize that the cost of hiding is far greater than the discomfort of being seen. To live authentically is to choose self-respect over acceptance, integrity over convenience, and truth over comfort. When a woman practices authenticity, she becomes magnetic. People are drawn to those who are genuine because they provide a sense of safety, trust, and relatability. Authenticity fosters connection because it invites others to be real as well. By being honest about who you are, you create space for meaningful relationships built on mutual respect rather than facades. People sense when someone is pretending or performing, and they respond to the energy of someone who is grounded in their truth. Authenticity not only strengthens the individual, but also elevates the quality of the interactions and relationships in her life. Authenticity also strengthens decision-making. When a woman knows who she is and what she values, she can make choices confidently and without hesitation. She does not waver under pressure, sway with the opinions of others, or compromise for temporary approval. Each decision reflects her inner truth, reinforcing her self-respect and personal integrity. Authenticity acts as a compass that guides every action, ensuring that her life is built on alignment, not convenience. It allows her to pursue goals, relationships, and opportunities that resonate with her deepest desires, rather than chasing external validation. Another critical aspect of authenticity is the embrace of imperfection. The authentic woman does not need to be flawless to feel worthy. She acknowledges her mistakes, her flaws, and her vulnerabilities, understanding that these do not diminish her value. In fact, embracing imperfection is a form of empowerment because it frees her from the impossible standards imposed by society. She no longer measures herself against others. Instead, she measures herself against her own growth, progress, and integrity. Imperfection becomes a source of strength, a testament to her resilience, and a key element of her authenticity. Authenticity is intimately tied to self-confidence. When you know who you are and live accordingly, you no longer seek constant reassurance from others. Confidence emerges naturally because you are grounded in your truth. You do not need to conform to societal ideals of beauty, success, or behavior to feel worthy. Authenticity allows you to trust yourself, make decisions without doubt, and act decisively. The woman who embodies authenticity walks through life with calm authority, because she does not need approval to validate her existence. Her power is internal, rooted in self-knowledge and integrity. Authenticity also fosters emotional freedom. When a woman is authentic, she allows herself to feel her emotions fully without suppression or shame. She expresses joy, grief, anger, and love honestly, rather than masking her feelings to fit expectations. Emotional authenticity strengthens resilience because it teaches her to process experiences rather than ignore them. By confronting her emotions directly, she gains clarity, learns from her experiences, and makes intentional choices. This emotional honesty enhances her relationships, her decision-making, and her overall sense of self. Living authentically requires setting boundaries, because you cannot be true to yourself if you constantly accommodate others at the expense of your needs. Boundaries ensure that your energy, time, and attention are directed toward what truly matters. They prevent exploitation and protect your integrity. Every time you enforce a boundary, you reinforce your commitment to your authentic self. You are telling the world that your needs and values are non-negotiable. Boundaries are not limitations, they are declarations of authenticity. They ensure that your actions, interactions, and relationships are aligned with your truth. Authenticity is also a form of leadership. Women who lead with authenticity inspire others through example. They demonstrate that it is possible to be powerful, compassionate, and true to oneself simultaneously. They create environments where honesty, integrity, and vulnerability are valued. This type of leadership is transformative because it empowers others to embrace their own truth. By showing up authentically, a woman challenges norms, breaks cycles of conformity, and sets new standards for what is possible. Her influence extends far beyond herself, shaping the culture around her in meaningful ways. Being authentic requires continuous self-reflection and growth. Life constantly challenges you with new situations, relationships, and expectations. Authenticity is not static, it evolves as you evolve. The authentic woman regularly examines her values, beliefs, and behaviors to ensure alignment with her true self. She is willing to adapt, learn, and change without compromising her core essence. This ongoing commitment to self-honesty ensures that authenticity remains a guiding principle throughout her life, rather than a temporary state of being. Finally, authenticity liberates a woman from the burden of performance. When you are authentic, you no longer expend energy trying to please others, fit into societal molds, or prove your worth. Your energy is reserved for growth, creation, and connection. You live in alignment with your purpose, pursuing goals that resonate deeply with your values. Life becomes less about seeking validation and more about experiencing fulfillment. Authenticity is freedom, freedom from judgment, fear, and the pressure to conform. It allows a woman to exist fully, unapologetically, and powerfully. In conclusion, authenticity is the ultimate strength. It is the act of being fully yourself, embracing imperfection, expressing your emotions honestly, and living in alignment with your values. Authenticity requires courage, self-awareness, and emotional honesty. It is reinforced by boundaries, nurtured through self-reflection, and expressed through consistent, intentional action. The authentic woman does not shrink to please others. She rises to honor herself. She is confident because she trusts her truth. She is resilient because she faces life without pretense. She is empowered because she owns her story and refuses to compromise her essence. When a woman embraces authenticity, she stops being soft in the way society defines it. She becomes strong, unwavering, and unshakable. Her presence is undeniable. Her voice is respected, and her life is aligned with her deepest truths. Authenticity is not merely a trait. It is a way of being. It is the foundation of courage, confidence, resilience, and influence. To live authentically is to live powerfully, unapologetically, and fully. It is the highest form of self-empowerment, and it is the path to becoming an unstoppable woman.